Individuals wishing to speak on agenda items must complete a sign-up card prior to the item being introduced. Sign-up cards are available on the table. Individuals wishing to speak on non-agenda items may do so under petitions and requests. No sign-up card is required. Citizens will be given 3 minutes to speak on all agenda items. All sign-up cards and exhibits being submitted to the CRA shall be placed in the box on the table.
The purpose of the City Council meeting is to discuss city business, and proper decorum must be displayed by all in attendance. Public input and participation is encouraged. However, all persons in attendance shall comply with the rules for meeting procedures and shall refrain from any action that disrupts the orderly proceedings of the council meeting or hinders a council from performing its duties. No person shall interfere with the rights of others to speak, hear, see, or attend the proceedings, make threats of violence, disrupt the proceedings with shouting, fail to confine remarks to the agenda item under consideration, nor continue to speak after the allotted speaking time has expired, as these actions shall be considered disruptive and disorderly. The mayor shall caution any person who violates these provisions and disrupts the orderly proceedings of the council meetings, and they shall be directed to comply. Any person who fails to comply as cautioned shall be ruled out of order, shall forfeit the remainder of their speaking time on the agenda item under consideration, and will be requested to return to their seat. Persons who fail to comply as directed shall be subject to removal from the council chambers by law enforcement or such other actions as may be reasonably necessary to enforce these regulations. Notwithstanding, the mayor may order the immediate removal of any person from the chambers who possesses a threat to property or life safety. Nothing in this section shall be construed to limit or restrict a person's right created by the Constitution, law, ordinance, or regulation.
Good evening, everybody. I'm going to call this City of Titusville Community Redevelopment Agency regularly scheduled meeting September 9th, 2025 at 5:30 to order. City Attorney, do we have a quorum?
Yes, sir, we do.
In place of an invocation, we'll have a moment of silence. Please bow your heads. Thank you very much. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. And Executive Director, it just caught me off guard when the video started playing that I didn't know was coming. So all good there. Member Nelson?
Move to approve the minutes of the CRA from August 12th, 2025.
Second.
I have a motion and I have a second. Any further discussion from this board? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much. All right, Executive Director.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and Vice Chairman and members of the board. The first item is 7A, the Main Street program. As you recall, back on May 13th, 2025, at the Community Redevelopment Agency meeting, CRA directed staff to research the feasibility of reestablishing the Florida Main Street program for the city of Titusville. And here to present her findings to the CRA board is Sue Williams, our CRA planner.
Good evening. The recommended action, it's recommended that the CRA not reestablish the Main Street program as a CRA-led initiative. Instead, staff will and can facilitate an informational session with business owners and stakeholders to introduce the concept and the many benefits of the Main Street program. On that note, I have spoken with Kathleen Beck. She is the state coordinator for the state of Florida Main Street, and she would be willing, she'll need a couple months' notice, but she would be willing to come to, if that's the desire of the board, to have a presentation to a community meeting, merchants, et cetera, that she would be willing to come on behalf of the state of Florida Main Street. So I wanted to let you know that. And then the other findings is really a lot of what I found out when I went to the Palms Main Street conference in Amelia. And a lot of it was, as it states in the report, that if it's CRA-led, it would then put the Main Street in the sunshine. So everybody that I spoke to there, and even the attorneys, stated that the ones that do work together with the CRAs and the Main Street, that the Main Street is already established as a grassroots community, and it's already formed, and then the CRA steps in, and it is a wonderful relationship and very advantageous for both the city, the CRA, and the Main Street. And with that, I'll answer any questions that you may have.
Member Nelson?
So I'll agree with you. I think by combining the two, we have the limitations on what we can spend money on. And of course, sunshine. So it seems like it'd be better having it as a grassroots effort and then us supporting it.
Thank you, Member Nelson. Member Moscoso?
Thank you. Yeah, I would agree with Member Nelson. I was just looking at what some of the other cities do. How does, for example, Cocoa Village, Melbourne, how do they fund their Main Street programs?
I'm not exactly sure how Cocoa funds theirs. I know that they work very closely together. As a matter of fact, right now, Cocoa Village, the Main Street is working on their wayfinding sign to bring their findings back to the CRA. So I know there's some costs there. I know there's a few that they do fund that executive director position. There's a little bit of caution there. However, it can be a memorandum of understanding. But I do have a listing of the cities that fund and what they fund. I did not bring that at this time, but I can certainly get that to you if you're interested.
Sure, thank you. I have one more question. I know that we've been discussing what we're going to do with the embeds money. Is this something that we could use to kickstart the Main Street program? Because I see that one of their goals is economic vitality, focusing on capital incentives and other economic and financial tools. So I'm not sure if that's something that we can do as a city. I just was curious of your thoughts on that.
And the only drawback there is, again, if it's the city, if it's CRA-led or city-led, it would put Main Street and that board in the sunshine. So then you have another board that is sort of tied by that sunshine. And that's why I stated in the report that the Main Streets normally do not operate under sunshine, and that's for a reason. It's so that they can go out in the community and communicate and understand the findings of what our merchants want or our businesses. And that's the reason for it. It's not because they don't want to be in sunshine. It just makes it effectively work better with the city and the CRA.
Member Aker?
Can you go over the difference between a Main Street Merchants Association versus the Main Street that you're talking about?
The Main Street is a designated, you have to, there are certain regulations that you have to abide by in order to be established as a Main Street. If a community calls themselves a Merchants Association of Downtown, that's not the same thing. There are reporting mechanisms. There's also an absolute plethora of tools available for the Florida Main Street. And so it isn't a designation, just like a CRA. There is an area, and there is quarterly reporting. However, the benefits for a Main Street far outweigh the drawbacks of what work there is, because it's a great toolbox for any downtown organization.
Does it open up any funding options that otherwise you wouldn't have?
There are grants available, yes.
And it's not just merchants that can be members of this?
Anybody can be a merchant or a member of the Main Street.
So building owners or citizens, whoever could put some?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Okay.
Thank you, Member Aker. Vice Chair Cole?
You mentioned earlier about someone you spoke to that could come and give a presentation. It really seems that would be advantageous for us to have that individual come. I don't know how difficult it would be or what cost it would be, but I think it would help us a lot in our decision-making.
Thank you, Vice Chair Cole. Member Stokel?
Yeah, so to Member Nelson's point, if we just go the kind of the grassroots option, do we know, is there interest from the merchants or from anybody within the community area that would want to start seeing? Because I'm not really in favor of putting resources toward this when we don't know yet. I'd rather see kind of the interest and see if it's there, and then potentially down the road do that. So what's the temperature, I guess?
That's an interesting question. It seems as if there has been an interest. That's why this sort of came about. We were all hearing, or at least I know I was hearing it, a few other people were hearing it out in the community. I know that I've spoken with the Chamber of Commerce. They're interested in taking a look at it. Not sure what that would look like. And the reason why we recommended that staff could host a meeting, a community meeting, this is what the CRA does anyway. As y'all know, we've been hosting the CRA community meetings. So we were thinking, if that is a possible desire, that was sort of our way to maybe gauge the level of interest from the community, the business community.
Okay.
I just wanted to reiterate what Sue just said. I also spoke with Erin at the chamber, and she said several of the chamber members have expressed enthusiasm for this, and they're willing to step up their participation. And certainly now that the chamber is located in the Welcome Center, I think that adds more synergy to Main Street program.
Okay, and I think that's where I was getting at is I think that we're starting this momentum happening, and I'd rather kind of see what happens with that and then potentially put resources. I don't feel like I'm comfortable putting resources right now, especially with what's happening. I want to feel like we can justify why we're putting those resources toward it and not say, oh yeah, we're doing this, but we don't have really any benefit from it just yet. So that's kind of, I think, my approach at this time.
Thank you, Member Stokel. So whose number, is that Member Ball? It just says member, so I'm just guessing, but I'm.
You took me off already.
Yeah, so,
It's got a question mark on it.
yeah. Go ahead, Member
Since
Ball.
everybody weighed in on it, I want to just make a comment about, I think Member Stokel is absolutely right that, you know, you've got to see that there's real genuine support for this from the private sector, people that have interest in the downtown, and it doesn't just become a CRA-only program. There's a staffing requirement, which I think I've read and remember from before, that to maintain the designation as a Main Street, there has to be a full-time Main Street coordinator. So that's a full-time staffer. And it totally would be unfair to throw that onto our downtown redevelopment planner. So that's one thing. So you're looking at the need to raise the funds to fund. And if the other side of this equation is not going to step up with resources, then it's probably ill-advised for the city to. So she's absolutely right. I think the other thing that I noticed was there's only a one-time grant, right, from the Main Street program that's available. Didn't we already get one, City of Titusville?
I haven't researched how many grants are available, and I wanted to bring this forward to see what the temperature is from my board before I go any further on it. I know that I receive emails from the Main Street and that there are grants available. So I don't know if it's a one-time anymore, Jim, but I can find out.
Well, there's a lot that the CRA can do to support the effort if it really gets, you know, the people that have businesses downtown get behind it, and they're really coming to us and looking for help.
Thank you, Member Ball. Member Nelson?
This is just a question for Tom. Seems, and I don't know if you remember, maybe Sarah remembers, didn't we pay part of the salary for the director last time? Do you remember?
I believe so. I don't know the exact ratio, but there was a cost share with that position.
Okay.
Point of information, was that for the Downtown Merchants Association or the actual Main Street?
That was the Downtown Merchants Association.
Member Aker?
I just wanted, from a historical perspective, when we were having the street parties on a regular basis, the city, Aaron. So Marcia was the one who really spearheaded getting that activity, and they really worked up front to make sure that those happenings occurred. And then we did go through a period where Gina was part of the Main Street Association, right, as an employee. So we've done this in the past, and I really like the idea of getting back to that to highlight the downtown. We just don't have the festivals, the outdoor activities that we used to anywhere in town the way it has. And my kids' comments are going, where's the St. Teresa's Fair? Where are the street parties? Where do we come together as a city? And I think this gives us a platform by which if we can get behind it properly to highlight the downtown, but more importantly, give the citizens a gathering point again.
Thank you, Member Aker. And I guess, my thought process is, you gotta have that, buy-in from the community. I believe we're at a very good place where the downtown merchants are communicating and trying to work together to bring events and livelihood downtown. You're seeing that effort and energy. I believe if there was somebody willing to step up, whether it be the chamber or somebody down there willing to run a nonprofit, hopefully the city would get behind, and maybe we can do a grant or something to get them kick-started in the right direction. But those are just kind of my initial takes on it. To Member Aker's point, it seems like everybody wants the Indian River Fest to come back and St. Teresa's Fair and all those things. And so I've done a lot of concerted effort to bring together the groups that do events in our community so that we can start working together and building on the momentum, because some organization may have the people but not the money, and vice versa. So we really got to work together, and it takes a community to help a community. As government, we're focused on infrastructure, police, fire, and water. So it takes all of us working together to make this dream work. So I appreciate it. I don't see any other comments except for City Clerk.
We have one card.
Ms. Schifolo. I didn't even have to ask. I knew who it was.
Schifolo, the Norwood House. While I'm totally a fan of the Main Street program I've been connected with as a performing artist and would totally like to have one here in Titusville, I totally agree with the recommendations from staff about the CRA not restarting the program, but rather you should facilitate the business community's interest and desirability to restart the program. Since the goal of Main Street is revitalizing historic downtowns and encouraging economic development within the context of historic preservation, as a member of the Historic Preservation Board, I favor a Main Street program. But since CRAs are prohibited from funding festivals, promotions, or events, which are the most public and fun expenditures of money, don't you restart this Main Street program here in Titusville, because public participation in events is one of the tenets of the Main Street program. So we need to be able to have them. Let's let you foster plans and support events that create happenings in the downtown CRA district to promote the citizen participation. A key principle of the Main Street model is that it is a volunteer-based and community-driven initiative. So let's give the city businesses and the revitalized Chamber of Commerce an opportunity to get engaged in saving our city. Then the CRA can step in to assist funding, as have other CRAs throughout Florida, successfully supporting a Main Street program by funding executive director salaries and operational costs. And now, in the minute or so I have left, I'm going to give you a little quick tour of the swag bag I got at the Preservation on Main Street. Sunglasses, of course. Reusable eating utensils, rack cards. I recommend every business in downtown Titusville have rack cards with those little things on the back you point your phone at and stuff. Then there's postcards and door hangers for advertising. Oh my goodness, there's all kinds of information and maps. Oh, there was some lip stuff and pens. Oh, and real fun stuff, stickers, and I'm not gonna dig them out for you, but all kinds of stickers and magnets, and my favorite, of course, coasters. So Main Street has a lot of things going for it, and when we get one in Titusville, it'll be fun. People will have something to do to come downtown. The CRA won't have to be secret about it.
Thank you very much, Ms. Shifley.
Thank you.
Yes, Vice Chair Cole.
No, I just wanted to circle back. Did we need to direct for the speaker to come and speak to us, or did we all agree that we would like that to happen?
Point of information, Ms. Sue, I believe you were talking about bringing the Director of Main Street Program coming to talk with our businesses, correct?
That is correct, for a community meeting.
Okay,
Yeah.
I
But of course,
misunderstood that.
we
Okay.
could advertise that one or more members of the council will be in attendance.
Yeah. And I'm happy to help out in any way I can to get folks to that meeting. So let me know. All right. I think we're all in consensus. No motion needed. Executive Director.
Moving on to 8A, the Trail Town amenities. The CRA staff seeks to hire a qualified consultant to develop a comprehensive and logical plan for Trail Town amenities within the CRA. As the CRA continues to support and promote trail-related economic development, tourism, and enhanced quality of life, a strategic plan is essential to guide future investments in trail-related infrastructure. And the recommended action is to approve the request to develop Trail Town amenities strategic plan and allocate trail funds in the amount not to exceed $40,000. And our CRA planner can answer any questions.
Thank you, Executive Director. City Clerk, are there any cards on this matter?
There's one card.
All right. Is it Ms. Shifley?
Tony Shifilo.
All right. Well, I want to get the correct information first.
All right. From staff recommendation, the plan will also consider connectivity to downtown businesses, parks, cultural sites, and existing trail segments to maximize user experience and economic impact. The scope is small for this project, but the vision must be greater. Expand your thinking to the Main Street Bike Trail segment to the coast-to-coast bike trail as it crosses over the railroad tracks at Main Street into the neighborhood that the Kimley Horn-generated Titusville vision for tomorrow predicts will be the Winter Park Avenue of our town. It's a dangerous connection. As the green trail leads to the railroad tracks, on the other side is the oncoming eastbound traffic on Main Street. No more bike trail. The connection to the Garden Street overpass is a couple of blocks down Main Street. No bike trail. So something needs to be done to make this a safe connection for those cyclists leaving downtown to connect to the coast-to-coast bike trail at the Garden Street overpass. So even though it's outside the boundaries of the CRA, correcting this segment of the bike trail would impact a variety of goals, policies, and objectives established in the adopted 2022 CRA plan, as shown on page 26 of your agenda packet. In redevelopment strategies, the project enhances connectivity, wayfinding, and supports future capital investment. Economic development, goal 4, improved trail infrastructure, supports tourism-related businesses and encourages new visitor serving uses within the CRA. So if they can get in and out of town without getting run over by eastbound traffic on Main Street, it would improve pedestrian and the bike infrastructure. So I realize this is not your ballgame. I know that those 2 blocks are outside on the other side of the railroad tracks, but when you hire a consultant to plan on amenities and bike trail things, please have them consider that 2-block segment. I ride my bicycle there often, and you wouldn't want anything to happen to me. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Shifley. Member Nelson?
I would not want anything to happen to Tony. So when we go out for a bid, can we find out how much it would cost to do those 2 blocks?
Let me see if I understand the question. The plan or the recommendation here is to create a strategy that's comprehensive. In that, it can identify what would be included with a cost to it. Is that?
So Tony's right, when you get to the railroad tracks, from there to the bike trail, it's just horrible.
Well, the CRA ends at the railroad tracks.
Right. So my question is, can we see how much it would cost to extend that a little bit and come back to council,
Extend,
the study?
so if we're going to include any features or any amenities outside the CRA, that would have to be out of the general fund.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Yes, we
Yeah.
could, we can look into it.
Yeah,
See if we can do that.
yeah.
I think what Member Nelson was getting at is if we're already studying the CRA area for no more than $40,000, how much would it cost? Let's say it costs $30,000 to study downtown. If it costs another $5,000 out of the general fund to study those 2 blocks, I think that's something that maybe council would like to take up.
We might want to look at,
Yeah.
so that we keep Tony safe.
I would suggest we come back to you with a proposal on what that would be.
Yeah,
I'm sure we'll find a way to expand the scope to include that section.
thank
Because
you.
it makes logical sense if you're going to do it the right way. We'll find some general fund dollars. I would assume it'd be a small percentage of the total cost.
Yeah.
It'd be well worth the money.
If they're already
Okay.
deployed and doing the work, is I think what Member Nelson was getting at. Thank you, Member Nelson. Member Stokel?
Yes, I feel like, did we do some type of similar study or in the past where we did signage and some things with trail amenities? So could you explain how this would be different?
This would include not just wayfinding. I think that's what you're referring to. This includes all amenities. So you think about a trail system or even a park system, you have all kinds of features in there. You have the wayfinding signs, you have the other pedestrian amenities. There might be certain types of lighting, there might be certain types of signage that are, or placards that have even been suggested, or even benches, whatever that might be, they'll accommodate the trail systems that's going through into the downtown. So what we've been getting, one of the reasons why we brought this up to you is because we've been getting over the past few years kind of a haphazard request. I'd like to see this here. I'd like to
Correct.
see this bicycle toolbox, something, stand here, or this light fixture here, whatever that might be. What we want to suggest to you is to come up with something that's more comprehensive so that we can logically come back to you with, we think this is the next step that you should try to fund next based on this comprehensive plan.
So when we were doing those updates in the past, there was no formal plan. That was us coming up and saying, hey, we might need some shading over in this area. This might be a good place for signage. We didn't have anything comprehensive.
Correct.
Okay, so this could potentially, and I think we talked about too before, like workout stations or a bar and stuff like that. So this would include those amenities.
Yes, it could.
Okay, potentially.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Member Stokel. Anybody else, Member Nelson?
You want a motion?
Sure.
Move to approve the request to develop the Trail Town Amenities Strategic Plan and allocate funds in the amount not to exceed $40,000.
Second.
I have a motion and I have a second. Any further discussion from this board? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Any
Did you-
opposed?
Did you want to include the amendment to expand the scope?
And include the amendment.
Okay.
Did you include the amendment in your motion?
No.
All right, so
So we-
motion to reconsider.
If I may, that particular request, since it's outside of the CRA, would most likely be a recommendation to the city council, that particular segment.
Okay.
Okay,
And it'll probably be a different scope add on to this.
well, we're gonna do this again because I was in the middle of carrying out a vote and I want to make sure everybody's vote's on the record. So just, we're gonna redo. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much. Thank you, Ms. Sue. Executive Director?
Item 8B is the fiscal year 2026 CRA budget and resolution number 14-2025. On March 11, 2025, the CRA reviewed and formally accepted the proposed fiscal year 2026 CRA budget. That budget provides a framework for continued investment in redevelopment initiatives, community improvements, and operational support within the CRA district. And the recommended action is to approve the FY 2026 budget and Resolution 14-2025 to transmit the budget to the City Council for adoption at its final public hearing on September 18, 2025, as part of the city's adopted budget.
Thank you very much, Mr. Executive Director. City Clerk.
There's no cards.
Thank you. Member Nelson.
Move to approve the 2026 budget and resolution number 14, 2025, to transmit the budget to the City Council.
I have a motion and I have a second. Any further discussion from this board? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much. Executive Director?
Sir, item 8C is a CRA budget amendment. And as budgets lapse at the end of each fiscal year, unless they are specifically approved as part of the carry-forward list, and in this case, we have two CRA current projects that have a residual amount left, and staff is recommending that we transfer $20,000 from project CR 2101 Utilities Infrastructure and $10,000 from CR 2301 Stormwater Infrastructure to the Broad Street project, so to mitigate the overall cost of that project. And these are residual funds which are not sufficient to do another project in those two areas.
Thank you, Executive Director. City Clerk?
There's no cards.
Thank you very much. Discussion from this board? Seeing none, can I have a motion?
Move to approve to the City Council the associated budget amendment for a total of $30,515 from utilities infrastructure and stormwater infrastructure to the Broad Street project.
Second.
I have a motion and I have a second. Any further discussion from board? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much. And now we are at the part of the meeting for petitions and requests from the public and non-agenda items for the CRA. Ms. Tony, are you coming? I can feel you kind of wanting to get up, and
I was going to give somebody else a chance.
I just wanted to encourage you.
I know I'm speaking a lot. Shifalo, the Historic Norwood House. In a brief report in your agenda packet on the Historic Preservation Board, which the CRA keeps tabs on, a mention of a new program about recognizing mid-century modern structures in the city of Titusville. Since I am the one introducing this new program, I'd like to tell you a little about the concept and the implementation. When I attended the Preservation on Main Street conference this year in Fernandina Beach, I took seminars on subjects ranging from creative parking in downtowns to terrazzo floor preservation, which was fascinating, and Florida's modernist architecture from Mimo to Sarasota. That's Miami modern of the 1940s and 50s up to the Sarasota School of Architecture that drew global attention in the 1950s. And this session was led by Marty Hilton, the lead researcher of the two surveys of Florida's mid-century modern structures. Using that as an inspiration, I pulled from our recently developed architectural guidelines, the Historic Preservation Board's historic guidelines. I pulled together the parameters that the historic board decided on from 1945 to 1975 to define the architectural structures that we would be looking at, and our two building surveys from 2017 and 2012 that list, even in here, some mid-century modern houses and things. So then I talked to a couple of real estate agents, one who was just here, about places that have mid-century modern architecture, and they're scattered about town, and there's some lovely examples. So then I went to the Space Museum, and that presents the possibility of gathering the stories of space workers who lived in Titusville while developing the space program over on Merritt Island between 1945 to 75. And those were the exciting Mercury, Gemini, and Apollo programs. And some of those people that worked on those lived here. There are many stories of the space industry that tie the buildings to the times. Even our former mayor, Dan Diesel, speaks of moving to Titusville as a youth because his dad worked at the Space Center. He grew up here to become the mayor. So with the mid-century modern and the space industry comes to Titusville project as a focal point, the legacy of those who lived here while they were working to put us into space can be recognized. A new appreciation for our existing architecture can be cultivated by citizen participation in identifying the who, what, when did they live there, what did they do. And a whole new tour of historic places around Titusville can be established. So I'm really excited about this project. Thank you very much for letting me share it with the CRA, because you look at the Historic Preservation Board minutes.
Thank you, Ms. Tony. Did you read the minutes and see who was in there?
I didn't read your minutes.
I was there.
You were there, yes, you were at that meeting. I understand that, yes.
Yeah.
And the other evening, let me say, Brad and y'all came on Monday and you left before I made my presentation to the board about mid-century modern. It was quite extensive and full of detail because Sue let me put it on the agenda. So I had ample time to talk about it.
Thank you, Ms.
So
Tony.
I'm sorry you missed it.
Executive Director.
So the last item, number 10, is the Executive Director's report, and that's just a listing of activities that staff is conducting in the CRA, and no actions requested.
Thank you very much. Any further council board discussion on the Executive Director's report? Member Nelson?
Move to adjourn.
I have a motion to adjourn and a second. We're adjourned. Thank you.